Okay, we'll begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Join me. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I guess we'll begin the meeting with the clerk's report.
You have the minutes of October 7th, the 12th, and the 14th for approval and signature.
We can approve two of the three. We don't have, Clyde has to be here to approve the one at last minute.
Oh, okay, we can do that
So-
next time then.
Which one was that? Was that
The one that you-
the 19th, right?
Yeah.
The 12th, which one? Oh, this,
It should state at the top that you were absent, this one right
oh,
here.
okay, this one, okay, good.
Yeah,
We
sorry.
can hold that till next time.
But,
Good.
want to make a motion that we sign
I
them?
make a motion that we sign and accept the two minutes.
He'll second that. All in favor of that motion? Good. So, all right, thank you. Treasurer's report.
All
Pam?
right. Yes, I can give the treasurer's report. Good afternoon. First of all, I actually want to report to you that the county taxes are coming in very well. In the past 8 days, we've gotten about $1.3 million. This is the county tax. It does include both the first and second, what we call the first and second parts of the payment for the whole year from the UT. So the unorganized territory tax has come in. And there's only 4 towns and municipalities that are still outstanding. So it's a good sign. We're only maybe a little more than halfway through the last month where there is this grace period. And Vicki and Mary and I have all been working on the audit for the FY 21.
Yeah.
And so the auditors have been very busy, both off-site and on-site, and so has Vicki been extremely busy on-site today as well as off-site. When she calls in, she can actually do some things through her station on her desk. And we still have more work to do, so that's occupying our time. We did have payroll this week, as you know, so that's always time consuming. The day-to-day operations of cash receipts and payroll are the most important things that we do. Your warrants here today, I believe there are 4 of them. There's 1 county warrant, a UT a payroll, and a TIF warrant. And I believe, I heard that a TIF payment came in today? Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, I was
Yeah,
gonna
that's what I
mention
heard,
that,
yeah. So
Yeah.
that's another,
It was a little over 900,000.
Oh, good.
yeah, thank you. And also we have this month, the bank reconciliations that are actually from August. There are 3 of them from our 3 checking accounts.
Okay.
If you want to ever review them, they're on file here.
Good.
And have you signed the warrants? Because we do have vendors
Yes.
that are waiting for checks. If you don't mind, I'll take them so that I can get them in the mail.
Okay.
That's it for the treasurer's report.
I move that we accept the treasurer's report.
Second that. Any discussion? All in favor? 2 to
Nothing.
nothing. Kind of like the ball score.
Recording in progress.
I just have a question. With the 900,000 on the tip, how much stays with the county? All of it?
No, there's a
Portion
portion,
goes to state.
and I believe it's still 40%.
Yeah, it goes to state.
We have to meet a certain quota
Yeah.
before that goes.
So the 40% goes to whom?
It goes back to,
The state.
State?
Right.
well, no, it doesn't go back to state, it goes back to the company that owns
The
Kibbe.
Canadian company.
It's not,
Yeah.
it's no longer a Canadian company that owns it.
Right.
But it's the
Yes.
successor to the Trans-Canada.
Is it an American company?
Well, it's probably multinational, I imagine. They own.
I can't remember the name.
They all own all kinds of generation and storage facilities and things like that.
Information you can't know. Okay. We made a motion, that we accepted the report, we're all set. Okay, item number 3 would be United Way Employee Campaign, Lisa Laflin.
That would be me.
That would be you.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I'm just going to take a few minutes. Again, Lisa Laflin. I've been the director of the local United Way for almost 14 years. and very passionate about what we bring to this community as a nonprofit. And one of the things that we do is obviously raise funds, right? And we do that through workplace campaigns, individual gifts, grants, and big events like our Farmington Fright Nights. It's coming up starting tomorrow. And so I'm here today, I'm going to give you some information. There are 3 packets for everybody, and then this is our last annual report. To ask for you to consider county employees be part of a workplace campaign. So Lance is very familiar, having worked at Verso and contributed to United Way, about how we do things. And we're challenged to meet the growing needs in the community with shrinking opportunities within workplaces. So we're reaching out to a variety of workplaces, such as the county, to ask if we can run a workplace campaign. They're very simple. The workplace campaigns, as Tiffany knows, having been at LEAP, involves payroll deduction, and that would require some staff resources. But we have a lot of resources ourselves to share. So while we're asking for support from employees, it's also a really good opportunity for employees to learn about not only what we do, but what we support and how they might connect to those resources. So it's a simple process. We come in and we do everything with the exception of behind the scenes pledge processing. And we ask for you to consider United Way a workplace campaign for county employees.
I have a question on the finance end of it.
Yeah.
So how would this be paid to you? Is it going to be through direct deposit for these employees? To be directed into, to be deposited into
typically we can do ACH, but typically organizations are paying by check still, locally.
I think personally, I have a difficult time with these organizations coming in and taking up time, valuable time of the county employees. So, and I don't know how the county employees would accept this. When I taught at the school at Central Maine Community College, there was a good sized portion that didn't approve of this. So, and they would put them in their mailboxes, all this information, and they would just throw it away in the garbage can. And they did have a group that did want to do it. So I'm not sure that I'd vote to have the county employees do that unless we did kind of a poll to ask those employees first to see if they supported it. If the majority supported it, then I'm all set with it. If they don't support it, then I'm all set with it as well. I think that's a fair way to do it.
I don't think that's bad. I mean, I really don't have a problem, you know, other than you do have a little bit of that issue about time that it takes, you know, you do your film or whatever, but yeah, I think Terry's got a good idea. It would seem to me that if the majority want it, right, then that's probably more viable for you than if the majority don't. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are we did 120 grants just last year, and nonprofits are not able to go to towns as much, nor to the county commissioners, and we're streamlining that process. And individuals are supporting, and it's a private choice, and one of the ways in which we access those individuals is through workplaces.
Mm-hmm.
So
What's preventing you from going to the towns?
we run workplace campaigns through the towns. We don't ask the town to support United Way as a town.
So you're kind of asking that the support we would give would be the allowing of the program?
Correct.
Okay.
Allowing of the access to the employees,
Now,
which
how
is what
much-
the town of Farmington has.
Now, it's a little different than Verso, obviously, in that you got kind of people in desk all the time. It's not a matter of sending that shift down there or whatever like they would, right? So how would you do something like that with a workplace force here?
Well, that is dependent upon however you would want it done. We're doing virtual in a COVID environment.
Can you send like, I don't know, like an email with that little film on it? Or?
Absolutely. Yeah, it can be no touch, it can be high touch. Really depends upon the employer.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'd vote to do that, just do a survey of the employees to ask if the
Okay.
majority want that.
Let's do that survey first and find that information out,
Yeah.
and then we'll go from there. So,
Could we set that up somehow?
we'll set it up.
Thank you. Do we want a motion on that?
And would it be okay if, for us, I would like the motion, I would like to have Lisa be able to kind of write it up, you know? Is that like the poll question or however?
Hold the question.
I move that we have Lisa write up a poll question, we email it to the employees and see what we got.
I'm happy to do that.
I'll second that. All in favor? So motion. Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move to Sheriff Nichols, John Donald.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. This for you.
Thank you.
And of course, you remember the last time I was here.
Yes.
I was coming here to talk to you about cooks and cook managers and all that stuff. And
Right.
so we have found 2 excellent candidates.
Good.
For the first one is Victoria Roman, and she lives in, just recently moved here to Temple. She has 15 years of experience in the food service industry, has a degree in culinary arts from the Culinary Institute of America from New York, and she has previous experience as supervisor and a manager in the food industry and is ServSafe certified. And in order to convince her to come here, I was hoping that you would grant me the opportunity to bring her in as a lateral, recognizing her previous experience, and that is pay grade level 5. And that is, I have it highlighted, but just so you can see what the pay
Yeah.
scale is right there under grade 5. And I would ask that you bring her under that scale.
Yeah, that's where we put.
That's what we put,
Yeah.
one up before.
Right.
Yes.
And she, equivalent experience.
Yeah, no, it looks good.
Yeah.
The important part would be, have you tasted the food yet?
Not yet. But I do know that the company Sodexo will be using our catering service runs out next week, so
Okay.
we're getting desperate.
Yeah, I saw the contract for that.
Speaking
Yeah.
of desperation, because my wife is gone, all of a sudden, all these women are cooking for me, but when my wife gets back, they won't be.
You wanna go to the jail?
I just wondered if I could have a doggy bag from the gym.
You can come
No, I
on.
just-
You don't want to come over now, but maybe next week
No, it's just-
we'll take care of you.
Well, you could arrest him first and then he'd be all
Yeah.
set.
Well, the price of admission is a little steep right
Yeah,
now.
could be.
So,
A
yeah.
bug shot, that wouldn't help.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
I think we indicated we'd support that.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to bring it, as I said, I wanted to come back to you guys and,
And the second one, that's kind of what we agreed to, right?
yes.
That's good. And
Yeah,
she's good,
yeah,
she's
and
good.
her name is Jada Lamontang,
Yep.
and she lives in New Sharon, as you can see here. She is in her 4th year of cooking, and she impressed the board with her knowledge. She's, again, ServSafe certified, so these are 2 people we can plug and play, and I don't have to have another sleepless night about trying to feed inmates,
Yeah.
so.
Okay, I would support both of them.
Yeah, I move that we hire both these people.
I'll second that. As the rate you
At
want
the
this.
requested
At
rate.
the request of rates, yes.
You want
Yeah.
that copy?
Sure, thank you.
Then you can.
Yeah.
And you also,
All in favor of that motion?
thank you very much, gentlemen, that's all we needed.
Thank you, Joe.
Alrighty.
Thank you. See you, John.
We're going to full-time corrections officer.
Oh, yeah.
That's
might-
off the table.
That
Or
is?
decline the offer.
Oh, you called, okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So we have an update off the table.
Well, they didn't say that, but I'll say it,
Okay.
because I know it.
All right. Item number 5 is a dress code. You want to explain that, please? One of you.
Typically, in a personnel policy, there is a dress code that exists unless people are wearing uniforms. The sheriff's department, of course, wears uniforms, and they have a uniform policy, but we don't have anything for our county employees, our other county employees that don't have any type of uniform, so this will ensure that we are being safe and dressing professionally. So, and then we have clear guidelines as far as what you can and cannot wear. So
I was
that's
holding that up so the people at home, I don't know if anybody's listening.
There's a sign.
There goes the 8th grade.
So if you want to take a minute to read through it, because I'd
Yeah,
like your approval
I
to
looked
add
it
it to
over,
the
whatever.
personnel policy.
No, I don't have any problem.
No?
All right, we move ahead with it.
I'll second that. From what I see on these pictures.
Well, I kind of read it too. It's-
Yeah, and, yeah, I think it's appropriate.
Pictures are good specifics sometimes because you want it to be clear, you know, holes in the jeans,
Offensive
holes in the shirts.
t-shirts, sandals.
Yep.
Who's gonna
We do-
police this?
Do we have, this is just a question because this comes back from working in the mill, but do we have like safety shoes, when like guy mowing the lawn and that kind of thing at all?
I don't think we have anything, do we have anything?
I don't know if,
Safety
I just don't
shoes?
know if that's OSHA, we need to be OSHA compliant on that or not, is the question.
That's one of the concerns I have, is the safety of that, those kind of tasks, right?
Yeah.
Wearing Crocs or flip-flops outside and
Right.
mowing the lawn is a potential.
Right, but
Yeah.
could maybe you just run something about, just to make sure we're OSHA compliant on
I
some of
can
these
look into
jobs?
that, yeah.
So not, obviously the Crocs would be obvious, but like, you know, sometimes where you're working, it requires steel, OSHA would require steel-toed shoes or something,
Right.
so.
I would think that would be prudent to have for the emergency services people.
Yeah.
Because they're leaving here and going to a scene. You'd think that they'd be prepared to do that. I don't know if they are or not.
Yeah. I'm sure OSHA can give us the directions on
Yeah.
that, so.
Yeah, okay.
Yep,
Right. All right, is that under new business, is that all?
that's all for new business.
Okay, so we'll move to old business, and we have the Flower Club here again,
Thank you.
so you have the floor.
I gave you a copy of the site map. We got this from the town of Farmington, just so they have it in the file. Should have a map number and a lot number. This doesn't show a map number.
No.
Robert Sundell asked us for this, so that's why we acquired it and wanted to share it with you.
Have you done the deed research on this property or no?
No.
So I think we ought to do that before we invest any funds in this, to make sure. Who owns it?
You do.
But I want to make
Yeah.
sure of that. I haven't seen,
The only thing that I've seen was a newspaper article, I can give you a copy, but I didn't bring it today, in the Franklin Journal from 1924 when the memorial was dedicated, and it had a small blurb saying that at the last minute, they realized that they hadn't set aside the property, and they had to come up with funds. They did like a public campaign to get the money,
okay.
but it all says, you know, it's on.
Could you give us a copy of that?
Yes, I got it.
And could we, somebody email Paul Mills and ask him, because if anybody knows, yeah.
Then
He actually
there should
gave
be
me
something
the copy.
also.
Oh, he gave you that, oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah, he's,
Yeah, if it was deeded to the county, then there should be something in the registry.
yeah, this should- I would think so.
Yeah, we should be able to find something.
Yes.
And when I checked with the town of Farmington, they said that you owned it.
Okay, thank you. Sue,
And I've got the map number
So-
here, I can give it to you.
we're talking about the property where the arch for World War I veterans, so we'd like to see a copy of that deed.
Yeah.
Well, in order to find it, I need to know the year it was done and who would have purchased it.
1924, the dedication of the arch, I believe it was May. I think they did it on Memorial Day of that year.
Okay, and
But
who
I
would
had,
and we would have purchased it, the county?
Franklin County Commissioners, yeah.
Yeah.
I do have, I do have something interesting. I have his probate document.
That might help, Sue. Okay, thank you.
I did have one question, you mentioned Robert Zundel,
Yes.
so is he the guy that's gonna do this, or what?
Well, he's willing to do as gratis a design based on what we come from, you know, what we come and tell him. What his initial concept idea was is to remove those trees, and that's the next thing on my item to talk about.
Yeah.
And, you know, mainly make it a turf lawn, replacing the trees that go out with like a living border.
Yeah, I remember.
And one of the garden club ladies did go to the neighbors, she knows them, they are ecstatic to think that those big trees would be gone and a nice hedge
Oh, good.
replaced
Good for you.
it. So that's one, and then
Yeah.
the other neighbor in the same area that owns two of the houses on like Belcher and Bach Shop, he's supportive as well.
Yeah, that's good, that's good.
Did you have something to add, Eileen?
Yeah, why? Why do you want to do this? Why? Whose money are you spending? Why do you wanna do
Well,
this?
I want to do it because it's a memorial to Franklin County soldiers, and that this man left his life savings, that this arch be put in a position and maintained forever. That's also in the article.
So I can't see that it's not being maintained.
Well, it is, but it's not really a respectful looking monument to our veterans, in my opinion. The grass is there, but it's in terrible shape. The garden, we at the garden club have maintained it for almost 50 years.
Yeah. So,
And
what are you people gonna put into it? What is the garden club gonna
We
contribute?
put a lot of time.
What are you
into it.
going to as far as this new project?
It depends on.
Well, this is we don't know what's going to be there, so whatever it is, it's our commitment to maintain the property of the county commissioner.
Well,
And
I don't think there's anything wrong with those trees that are there. They look
Yeah,
perfectly healthy. You talked about illuminating. Yes, I was up there the other day.
No, but have you talked
Okay.
to a forest?
A lot of the
No,
stuff
I
that was in this article has already been
No, we don't need to
discarded.
argue.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I mean,
sure,
I
sure.
don't
Please
want to
don't.
argue.
Hey, let's not like have this debate. Could you just explain why you don't think we should do this?
I think plain and simple, as it's always been.
Okay.
And if you people are having a problem with maintaining the flower gardens, then it should divert back to grass. And if there is in fact a granite walkway from the steps to the monument, then that should be revealed. If there's no granite walkway there, then there only needs to be a grass walkway. A lot of the things that they've proposed, there's benches there. There's never been a problem parking for the Memorial Day or Veterans Day observances that I've been to there. I don't see a need for parking there. I don't see a need for an illuminated flag and illuminating the arch. That's just gonna create another bill for the county to pay and your county maintenance man to make sure the flag is in the proper location for the proper observances. There are 2 granite urns there. I don't know who placed them there, but if it can't be that somebody, some group or the county is able to keep them with flowers or like in the holiday time, greens, if they can't do that, then they should be removed.
So you would see it kind of like
Plain and simple.
if someone has a cemetery and the family would be taking care of a stone, and if they stop, well, it stops.
Well, the county needs
Like
to
on
take
those,
care of.
on those urns issues.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
can't take care of. So I do know that when the Veterans for World War I and Auxiliary disbanded, because my mother was part of it,
What year did they disband?
I believe it was about 15 years ago. Whatever monies that was left over, they gave to the county. One-
And that's what that money, excuse me, that's what they, okay.
One could assume that it was to maintain the monument. And I would like to think that the county maintenance man would know enough to know whether when that monument needs to be professionally cleaned. And that could be done.
True. Yes, go ahead.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't catch your name.
I didn't give my name.
Can I ask it?
My name's Eileen Kennedy.
I'm happy to meet you, and I'm sorry this is upsetting you. Many of the things that were in the article have already been discarded.
It should be.
Our interest is civic beautification and respecting our ancestors and the efforts of our veterans in World War I. And I really am impressed with this man who gave his life savings to make a deal with the Franklin County Commissioners to keep it respectful and well maintained. And I respectfully disagree. I think it looks shabby.
It's an interesting thing. Do you guys know who Oliver Otis Howard was?
Say that again?
Oliver Otis Howard.
No.
Howard University is named after Oliver Otis Howard. He was from Leeds, Maine. He was a Civil War general. After the war, he ran the Freedmen's Bureau, and then he went out and chased Chief Joseph until Chief Joseph surrendered to him out in Montana. But after the war down in Leeds, right, there was a boyhood pasture where he built basically kind of a small version of the Washington Monument and put all of the names of the veterans from Leeds of the Civil War there. And, now that's, the only reason I bring that up is because it just made me think, I don't know what I'm thinking totally on this, but, you know, that you go up there, it's just up, it's up a trail now, there's only a little open area. And so, I mean, if he had, say, left that to his property, and I don't think it was to the town, but if he had left something like that to the town, should the town kind of continue to maintain that up on that hill? I mean, it's just a question. I mean, you go up there, you can still see all around
The
it.
commitment was made at the time it was put together.
Okay. So you're saying, if he had written down that he wanted that maintained in a certain way, and they
It didn't
accepted
say it
it?
were a certain way, it said, it's in the, oh,
It's in his will.
yeah, this is will.
Okay.
Excuse me. It begins with the fourth
Yeah, okay.
paragraph right here. And I'm sorry, I only have one copy because my computer doesn't make this tall.
Could you read it to us?
Oh, yeah, okay, 4, this is the 4th point. I give, bequeath, and device to the inhabitants of Franklin County all the residue of the remainder of my state, wherever found or however situated, of whatever name or nature, be the same, real, personal, or mixed, under the following conditions and of the following purposes. Mainly, all of my said estate to be converted into cash by my executors, and I hereby direct that any real estate of which I may die, seized, or possessed shall be sold by the said executors of my estate and conveyed by the executors deed when their judgment of a reasonable price can be obtained, without obtaining a license from the probate court. And all of that money shall come into the hands of the said executors under this item. My last will and testament shall be expended by them as soon as they may, after my decease, with the advice and assistance of the county commissioners of Franklin County, for the purpose of purchasing and erecting on a suitable site in the Farmington Village a granite monument to honor the soldiers of World War I from Franklin County. This bequest to be accepted by the county commissioners of Franklin County in behalf of the inhabitants, with the express understanding that their successors in office shall forever keep and maintain said monument on the grounds which it shall be erected in proper condition and repair. So just proper condition and repair, right? I do have a question about this though. This is, how could you legally,
Back in 1920?
no. How can you legally bind future commissioners to a,
Maybe a question, I don't
you
know.
know, I mean, it sounds good, but I mean, this will doesn't necessarily have any bearing on
That
it.
would be in, excuse me, that would be in the minutes when they accepted that back then.
Yeah.
So we'd have to dig those
Yeah.
up and read how they accepted that and what they said, but we don't.
But my thought would be, no offense, this is just a legal question, but my thought would almost be, just because you accept to do something doesn't mean you can bind a future
That's
county commissioner to that acceptance, but I don't, that's no issue about whether we're gonna or not.
Thank you, sir.
Like, hey, I could write my will,
Just because it's
you know.
interesting, this is the financial settlement of his last monies
Oh,
and what he spent on the arts.
What year did he die?
He died in 1922,
22, oh, okay, so these are the executives, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that was back when $4,000 was a little bit of money.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
Back then it was.
yeah.
So Sue found a document that shows that the county does own.
We do all.
That's on the property. Okay.
Memorial to.
That's what I wanted to make sure.
So-
Oh,
thank you very much. So, as I understand that will, what they did was, they provided the land, right? And then his estate provided the monument with the agreement that they would keep it, basically, it doesn't really state much, just that the upkeep was vague.
That's how I,
Is that how it went? Is that how, everybody agree that's kinda how it
And the
went?
garden club's been paying for the maintenance of the garden part of it for 50 years.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and this was done
got
on
the plant
April.
materials and done the work and.
So-
This document was done on April 12th, 1924.
Almost 100 years ago, 97.
What did you?
so we're maintaining by mowing the lawn, that's the only thing we're doing right now?
Yeah,
So-
mowing the lawn, keeping everything clean.
Keep the trash out there.
Right, yeah. And I think a few years ago, we purchased a new, I can't think what it's called, the sign that hangs up
The
there.
new sign, because the World War I veterans had placed one sign.
Yes, yeah, and it was getting
Yeah.
really frayed and everything, so we purchased one a few years ago to.
The sign on the left?
So a lot of the difference of
Yeah, that would
opinion
stay for
here
sure.
is, it's really opinion on what it means to maintain that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's, one person's beautification is another person's,
The beautification, but at whose expense?
well, that's what I'm saying, and also one person reading of that will might say, well, it didn't say this, anyway, anyways, no, I understand what's going on.
All right.
Okay.
And then the only other thing that I had was the need to talk about moving the signs along the area, because when you drive along the road, I gave you a copy of the pictures, when you drive past it, the signs obliterate the arch, you don't see it at all.
Oh, the road signs.
All right.
You can't
Oh.
move DOT signs.
Those are
Well, we
DOT.
need to talk to DOT
You
about
can't
about
move
that.
DOT signs.
Yeah, you'd have to go to DOT.
That's
I
fine.
understand that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
I have
We're
a
And
contact, I have a resource that I can find out information.
It would be
on.
terrible if they moved a DOT sign.
Well, I'm not
Wait,
saying.
hold on,
remove them.
let me finish this a bit. If they moved a DOT sign in front of a World War I memorial and someone got killed,
Oh, that would be terrible.
well, maybe they could shorten them.
Well, yeah.
then you got issues there, right? So you gotta be
Those
certain
are
heights, it's all
definitely
federal law,
issues
state law.
of regulation and what DOT can do.
Yeah.
I'm bringing it up as a question, and as it is now, I believe that it's obstructive.
Okay?
That's all.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
And that's all I have today.
We'll chat about that. Thank you. Okay,
Is there anything else we can bring to you, or help?
no, not this time, I think we're all
I
set.
think for now,
We
we're
just-
all set.
Yeah. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move to item number 2 on the old business, ARPA position on ARPA.
We need to start interviewing.
We do,
The burning question is when?
okay.
Okay, so is this something, if we had this, is this something that I could zoom in on?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
If we need to do it that way,
Yeah.
then that would be
I'm
fine.
gonna be gone and I can't Zoom.
Okay, well, so when are you getting back?
Depends on when that critter drops,
What crit is that?
that moose hunt that I'm going on.
You've already got him, you already got him, huh?
No,
So when are you going on the moose hunt?
Sunday morning.
Okay, so next week, you couldn't do it. You'll be back the week after that?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, hold on, because he'll be back the week after that, I won't. Does anybody know what Clyde's status is? Or?
I'm not sure. I know that he wasn't well today to come to the meeting, so.
Okay, well,
Why don't we set it up for that time anyhow?
either that or just wait till I'm back.
But-
It's one more week. I mean, I don't know if that's too long or what. Does that start to push things
We
up?
got until
to-
26.
No,
looking
I think, I mean,
We need to,
we have one project currently, that's gonna happen, but
Don't-
the
don't we
other
have-
projects, they haven't even.
Don't we have to
Mike-
send-
Mike probably knows more than me.
yeah, don't we have to send in
Projects.
something by the end of the month or no?
I thought they changed that, right?
They changed that to January.
Yeah.
So why don't we wait till Lance?
Okay, well, yeah, because I would like to be in on that. And we got like 4 or 5 people now, right, at least, last I know.
3.
Yeah, I gotta
Wait a
look. I
second.
can't
Did you get anything from a McCleary, a request?
There might be something coming.
Okay, because a woman said something, I said, call you guys, it was in there,
Yeah.
they didn't know how to sign it.
Um,
Louise McCleary, I think it was.
So if we're looking out, not next week, the week after you're gone, Lance, right? So.
It would be
Are you
starting the
going
week
to
of the
commissioners?
8th, the week of the 8th I'll be back.
Okay, so we'll set up
So
something.
you'll
that-
be gone for the next commissioners meeting too?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that would be a little easier to
Week of the
do.
8th.
Why don't we move the commissioners meeting from the 2nd to the 9th?
That'll work.
We can do that.
All right, let's do that then.
Yeah,
Let's just move it from the 2nd to the 9th.
Thank you very, very much.
at the same
And
time.
then Lance will be here.
3:15.
What's that?
And-
Yeah,
And
3:15.
then we'll interview. Could you be in earlier so we could start the interviews earlier?
You want me on the 9th?
Yes.
Yeah, sure, why don't we, maybe around, I don't know, noon?
Start by interviewing, set them up.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll try
I'll
to
see
get
what
right
I-
there by
see
then
what I can
and
line
make
up.
sure, I mean, it's,
Good.
I took 2 weeks off, guys kinda leave early, but whatever. Sad that do it. There might be a way to help. Oh, so wait a minute.
So we're talking about starting at, let's say 1,
Sure, one's fine.
1 o'clock. 1 o'clock
Might
on
have
the
to throw a
9th.
bone
Okay,
to
so
fill
we'll
school.
aim for 1 to start.
Yeah, starting time.
Should they?
Yep,
All right,
and then you wanna have a commissioners meeting on that day as well?
sure.
They were discussing a
Yeah.
little drainage
Okay.
issue with the soccer field the other
Sounds
day.
good.
Wanted to know what I can do now.
And then, just one more thing?
But,
That should work out with, 45 minutes or so. I don't know how long it take for each interview, but
Yeah,
we have
if
3 of
If we
them.
try to keep it to like a half hour.
yeah,
Yeah.
I would think you can kinda get a
Draw
sense.
some
yeah.
interview questions and
Yeah.
stuff, so that we're asking the same questions, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'll work on that.
Yeah, I should ask the same questions about
Yep.
3.
Yep.
I like that when we have a sheet all planned out,
Yep.
so that we don't,
I'll work on that, and Vicki and I.
so we're not
can,
redundant,
talk about it. Yeah.
like, can you write grants?
You know, tell us a little bit of what you
No,
just did.
open-ended
yeah.
questions, no yes or no questions.
Well, no,
Well, explain your
Yeah.
grant writing
Right,
abilities.
there we
Or
go.
just, what is your, your history of this and
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Okay,
And we'll break it up. Who asked that question? All right. Item number 3 is the Schoolhouse Road Bridge, and I believe that's probably why Mike's here, or no?
Yeah, I asked to have it put back on the agenda, because I wasn't here for the last meeting, so I didn't hear the full conversation about that. But Tiffany kind of filled me in and said that you'd like to have an agreement with that gentleman to sign off.
Before we spent the money.
So, I'm thinking, I mean, we would have to do it legally, through legal services anyway.
One would hope so.
But I'm thinking, maybe we should do the same way that we did for the item in Perkins Township.
Yeah.
Perkins.
Washington.
Oh, is it Washington? Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Washington Plantation. So, I feel that we should just discontinue the road completely through the whole full legal process, which would include the bridge.
Yeah, so we're
And
gonna,
go forward with that, instead of just having an agreement with this person that they take over the bridge.
the only difference I have is that Mike can't find any record that the county owns that bridge or the road.
Right,
So we're gonna discontinue a road that we don't know if we own or not,
right, well, we can discontinue up to the point that we,
beyond the bridge.
right,
Gotcha, all right. So let's do that. Let's,
yeah.
I don't know who we used before to,
Yeah, we could use our county attorney
Okay.
for that process.
oh, that's more
So we
money.
can start that, yes, it is, but I feel that way it's closed.
It'll be the cheapest thing we
and
spent for it.
Move forward.
Yeah, it will be, yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
all right.
at the last meeting, you decided to fix the bridge, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And have
And
them,
that needs to be in that,
yeah, and have them sign off that it's
Yeah.
theirs forever.
yeah. Yeah, so I'll contact Alyssa tomorrow, our county attorney, and
So
have
I'm
them move forward with this.
confused. Do we own the bridge?
We don't know, we can't find records, and we can't find records that we don't own the bridge. So we dealt with another one in Washington Township, and we fixed the bridge, and they signed off, and it's theirs, so we have no issues in the future.
Are we responsible for the road?
Again, that road is, we can't find where we own down.
211 feet, is what the county owns,
Right,
according to their records. The bridge that's in question, the residents that live around there say the road always went 30 feet beyond the bridge. State of Maine has no records of it being a county's bridge. So here you are. You get the he say, she said, county's put money in it.
So do you plow 211 feet?
So they discontinued it,
We discontinued that
discontinued
road.
For winter maintenance.
Yeah, for one
in
of them.
2017.
Right, 17. We discontinued a lot of them in Madrid.
So this action would discontinue the road totally?
Correct.
Right, this process would,
Forever.
yes, so we have no,
Okay.
yes,
So they can't bring the issue up again.
correct.
Now,
That's what
if the guy takes ownership of the bridge, right? it's my understanding when you discontinue a county road, right? The land reverts to the landowner with the exception that you cannot deny access to those that own land beyond that, that is their right of way, right? So if he owns that bridge, is he in effect able to deny access to people who have a legal right of way beyond that who own property? Because basically when they discontinued all these county roads were people's access to land. Now you can gate this off, but you have to give keys to everyone who has land beyond that.
So
It's my understanding.
We'll put that in the contract.
He owns the property beyond the bridge on all sides.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's one gentleman that owns out beyond him, and he has a legal right of way
Yeah.
through there because they sold him that property.
Okay.
You don't have a legal right of way through there.
No.
And neither does anybody else.
Well, wait a minute, is that a discontinued county road?
That's a great question. Where did it
Right,
go?
because if
Where
it's a
did it stop?
discontinued county road,
The burning question.
whoever owns land beyond that theoretically has a right of way to use that.
Well-
Unless they don't have some other way in.
That's written in his deed.
Okay.
Yeah, he gave a deeded right of way to the gentleman in
Okay.
beyond him.
Okay.
So that gentleman goes around and he goes around on one of our other roads and accesses property because it's the easiest.
Yeah, okay.
I understand what you're saying, I hear what you're saying. In the town of Strong, that's not so.
What's that?
If you discontinue a county road, and if a gentleman owns on both sides of the road, he can gate the road off and you can't go through.
No, he can gate the road off, but if I'm a landowner beyond there, I don't believe they can land bind you legally.
I'll give you the reference to go to, so that you can, because it's in court, it's been fighting in court now for.
You're talking about Rogers, is you?
No.
Okay. No, but I mean, because
Yeah.
otherwise you'd have vast amounts of people around the state that were land bound, and I don't believe they had the right to do that when they did those.
So I don't do anything to the bridge until
Till we work this out.
we work this out.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's
so
where
it's just
that's
an
where I'm
update.
at. I want
Yeah.
to know,
Yeah.
I want to know
Just an
what's
update.
my result.
Right, yeah.
If it has to be spring, it has to be spring. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we actually do have funds in a bridge and roads reserve account in the unorganized territory.
Okay,
To be
to
able to
cover
fix the
that.
bridge. We have
Good.
funds in there. so.
Good. All right, is that it for the schoolhouse?
Can I just ask a
No.
question?
Yes, Ben.
Somebody briefly mentioned that there is some ongoing activity with the American Recovery Act funds, or at least something in planning. For instance, is the septic system,
Yes.
the drainage system
Yeah.
up at the jail part of that?
Yes.
And are there other projects that are part of that so far?
I don't think there's really anything.
The current project that they're gonna be doing is the septic for the
Yeah, jail.
sheriff's department.
Sheriff's
Yeah.
Department.
Yes, and they're still working on the plans and everything.
For the high water drainage, the drainage issues they have with the water system up there.
Yeah.
That's an ongoing process. They still got quite a bit of work to do to get that. That won't happen until next summer
Yeah.
because of, you just wouldn't start a project at that depth.
So it's in planning stages right now?
Yes, and I called the guy that was awarded the contract for the septic system. I don't know if he's been in or not. I told him he has to come into the office and sign the contract with you guys. I can call him again, and then they're still planning the septic system for the county jail, which is a different animal.
Okay,
And then I did mention when that would be looked at, but them, the hybrid vehicles, can we get reimbursed for
right.
those and that kind of thing? Well,
Yeah,
that isn't asked for
you're
yet.
not
so-
gonna purchase more of them too.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to read up on a lot of the
Yeah.
stipulations and,
I think we can,
And I've been zooming in for the meetings with MACA, which is with all the other counties,
yeah,
hearing what they're doing with plans and everything. And I haven't heard
Okay.
anything about vehicles or
Yeah.
anything like that. so.
yeah, and we ought to take a look at that sheriff's department building in itself.
True.
That ought to be on the project.
I mean, our intent kind of when we talked to the other people that came in was just to have people start submitting projects. And that when we hired this person, they would be kind of prioritizing them, we'd go
Yeah.
over them, what was possible, what wasn't, and then we would prioritize them and try to do something. That was-
Right.
So
I
we
mean,
can
it's
get
vaguely
somebody-
laid out,
Yeah.
that was what
Yeah.
my understanding
I
was.
have a folder
Yeah.
full of
Yeah,
requests. so.
yeah. What's the status on the the union negotiations there with that.
Actually,
here.
I have something under.
That comes under miscellaneous.
Okay, well, hey.
Okay, so we're through with old business, we'll move to miscellaneous.
Okay. I received an updated MOU for the NCEU contract to be added to the contract. The union required that we have an memorandum of agreement, about where the
This is about.
jail,
Food service.
yeah,
Oh,
with the food service for the jail, where
Yeah.
we, actually, we're having it outsourced right now,
Yeah.
until the end of this month.
Yeah.
And stuff, so they required us to have an MOA to add as an attachment to the actual contract.
Okay.
And I received this today from Melissa, and Bill Doyle, the NCU rep, also has a copy of it.
Okay.
Who's the new steward?
The new steward is Jane Proctor.
Okay. So that, he's gonna be taking Walter's place?
Yeah, and Walter is still actually currently helping out. He's paying his own union dues at this time, so
Okay.
he can still be active to help Jane through this process.
Okay.
I'm good.
So you need these signed, or we good with this?
I make
Yeah,
a
just
motion that we
need a
sign.
motion to
I move that
approve
we
it
accept it
and sign
and
it, yeah.
sign it.
I'll second that.
And I'll send that off to the NCEU for their signatures also.
Is this the only thing holding up the agreement from the summer?
I emailed Mr. Doyle this afternoon and to ask him if there's anything further he wanted to discuss about the contract, we can move forward.
Okay.
I've not heard back from him yet.
Okay.
All those in favor of that motion? So say. Good. Good.
Oh, yes, under another miscellaneous, this was the last minute, that was just brought up to us a while ago. It's actually a TIP scholarship. It is for a Haley Fenwick. She lives in Freeman Township. She goes to college at the University of Maine at Orono. And she's going, her major is biology pre-med. And they did all the scoring and everything. I don't know the results of it, but it must have been okay because Charlie forwarded this to me.
Yeah.
And the recommended award is $8,902.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I recommend we accept that.
Second that motion. All in favor of that motion?
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Under-
Also, we have put out, with your permission, a couple weeks ago, we put out for my current position.
Yes.
Yeah,
Where I'll be retiring. And we have one applicant at this time. And we would like to move forward and set up for an interview.
really?
For this
Only
person.
one person?
So
Did you-
far.
So far.
Did you condense those 3 jobs?
We did, yes, yeah.
Good. Good.
Yep, so in the interview, she wanted to involve at least one of you in that process, so maybe we should try to interview on the week of the 9th as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Would you
So
mind
we're-
doing that one, Terry?
sure.
Good.
Fine.
Do we want to try and do the same day, or do we want to try
Why
and do
not?
a
Why
different day
not?
that
I'll come
week?
in earlier. We're gonna start at
Okay,
1. Could we come in at 12?
Well, I'll schedule them and then I'll communicate what I
All
scheduled,
right,
so
all
maybe
right.
we can get them all in the afternoon, so.
Okay, all right.
yeah.
Can you also leave a note to call me on the 12 o'clock that day, just to, or even Monday, just to say, I know you're back, you probably got jet lag. Wake up, you've got a meeting at 1 on.
She's good at that. She
Do you, Lance, you must use a calendar, right? As a teacher, you must use like one of those calendars that goes, bing, you have a meeting in 15
My
minutes.
wife has them, but I don't. Terrible.
Is that it for miscellaneous?
That's
Sue?
I just needed a clarification. When the sheriff was in, the people he hired, did they work in the county or no?
Do you work within the county?
Yeah.
No.
So when he called it, I think, a lateral transfer. I think that's, I heard him say.
Yeah.
Oh, because-
He
and
did.
it can be a lateral transfer. Lateral transfer is if you
Yeah.
work in the county.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure I heard right and just,
Yeah, it was an agreement that we made the last meeting, I believe. Down.
So rather than use the phrase lateral
Yeah.
term, we're
you're
just
just
basically.
hiring somebody.
Yeah, you're hiring somebody
Yeah.
at kind of
There's
what
nothing
you
lateral
expect for
about it,
that
yeah.
grade.
I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, yeah, thank you, Sue. Is that it? Anybody else?
I'm all set.
We have a motion to
I
adjourn.
move adjourn.
I second that, and all in favor of that motion at 4:05, we are adjourned.